Ohio State will have their toughest test of the year as they prepare to play number 7 at Penn State, the Nittany Lions. And Penn State has looked very impressive through their 6-game stretch that they've had. They've pretty much dominated every game they've played. They have wins against UMass, 63-0. That was the most recent one. Important games of note is that Iowa game. Iowa was ranked at the time. They beat them 31-0. Wasn't close. And then you obviously go to Ohio State with their signature win being that game against Notre Dame. Although it was at Notre Dame, they barely escaped. Notre Dame has looked better in recent weeks. They did beat Duke. They did kind of run the floor, wipe the floor with USC, a team that a lot of people, including myself, thought would be college football playoff contenders, like right off the bat. And they also have the most recent win that they have against Purdue is pretty impressive as well. I thought they played really well, but there's a few keys that Ohio State's going to have to do if they want to win this game against Penn State. And the first key that you got to hit on is the injuries. Hopefully they can get back the majority of their guys healthy. Obviously, Emeka Egbuka didn't play against Purdue. That's a guy they're really going to need. If not, they're going to have to lean a lot more on Julian Fleming and Carnell Tate. I think Carnell Tate is ready to step up in a role. I mean, he's a guy that's just waiting to break out. So is Ignis. You saw a little bit of that in that game against Purdue. Really solid receivers. Are they better than Egbuka at this point? No. But they could get you there if he isn't 100%. And then you got to look at the running back room, which has been one of the most confusing questions for Ohio State recently, where Mayan Williams has an undisclosed injury. Travion Henderson also clearly has an injury. There's some wrong. I don't know if that one's been reported yet. I would expect that he would play in this game against Penn State, but the jarring issue here is that Chip Trayanum went down in that game against Purdue, and they put in Dallin Hayden, who I was very high on last year. He had a very good performance against Maryland, took over, was a great lead back. In this game against Purdue, he showed more of his skills too. And I honestly believe at this point that he is probably, if not the best, the second best back, at least on this team. The way he runs, his ability, looks like an NFL back. He has played really good in the games that he has been featured. That's why in that game, I remember after the Michigan game, I was very upset that they played Chip Trayanum more than they did Dallin Hayden in that game against Michigan, because Dallin Hayden had just played so well against Maryland. So I think that a key would have to be you have to involve Dallin Hayden more. Obviously, Travion Henderson, if he is healthy, has those quick bursts. He has those breakaway abilities. He can hit the long stride. But Dallin Hayden seems to be the more consistent running back. I don't know why they're not playing him. I think it could maybe have something to do with how he performs in practice. Maybe he fumbles a lot in practice, or maybe there's an off-the-field issue with him and Ryan Day or the coaching staff. I'm not sure why they're not playing him more. I know they wanted to redshirt him, but that's out the window at this point. You got to play your best players if you want to win the national championship. There's no redshirting a running back anymore. It doesn't exist in this era. It shouldn't exist. And then you got to go to the next category, and that's got to be, where are the strengths of Penn State, and how can Ohio State work past those strengths? And Penn State, they've had a really sound year defensively. They haven't really played anybody, but they're only giving up like 193 total yards per game, which is really good in college football. Ohio State, as good as their defense has been, they're giving up 263 yards per game, so it's a bit more than you would like. But Ohio State has played a lot better opponents, so that's still a really good number. But Penn State's defense, they're always physical in all of these games. They're always rising to the occasion, it seems. So that's going to be a question. Kyle McCord is going to have to expose this defense. I think he'll be okay because obviously he has that training against that Notre Dame game. If you compare him to Caleb Williams against Notre Dame, he obviously looked better, which it's surprising to compare Kyle McCord to Caleb Williams, but you have to when you look at the Notre Dame comparison when they played, and he played better than Caleb Williams in that sense. So I think he should be okay against Penn State, all things considered. Drew Adler, He hasn't really played a game against an elite team yet, although Iowa's defense usually pretty good, not as good as it usually is this year. He hasn't played a big game. We're going to see if he's for real in this game. I think that you got to just give him packages that mess him up. Jim Knowles has got to do some things, show him some new stuff that might get him out of his comfort zone. That would be a really big key for Ohio State if they were able to do that. And, another key that they just got to do to win this game is Day's got to have proper decision making on. There's going to be a few plays in this game where it's going to be that 4th and short. It's going to be that do I go for it on 4th down situation. He's got to make sure he comes out with the right decision. He's got to make sure he comes out with the right play, and he's got to set this offense up to succeed. I think the defense will be able to handle themselves. It's the offense that scares me more in this game. But, exploit Marvin Harrison Jr. Like I said, play more Dallin Hayden, and then they should be able to win. I think the fact that it's at home, they're going to have a huge advantage. I think if this game was on the road, I wouldn't be as confident about a win. But I think that they can go out there, and I think that they can get this victory if they just stick to the plan and they do a sound offensive game. And obviously Kyle McCord just plays as he did against Notre Dame. The defense plays as they did against Notre Dame. I think they should be fine. This is a really big game, though, for Ohio State. I think it might be a must-win for them to get in the college football playoff. Probably a must-win for them to win the Big Ten, because if they lose this game, Penn State would have to lose twice, and we would have to win out. I don't see Penn State losing twice. They might lose to Michigan, but gosh, it's going to be a hell of a game. It's going to be at noon on Fox, and I think Ohio State has the advantage because they're at home, but it's going to be a really close one.